Hi, welcome to my channel Cloud with Girish. In the previous video workshop, I explained how to set up live tail logging in AWS CloudWatch. The setup of log group live tail logging was completed using AWS Console. In this video, I will demonstrate another way to get live tail for the selected cloud log group using a programmatic approach as opposed to using the AWS Console. I will use Python and Boto3 to write a command line Python program that will publish the live tail based on the CloudWatch log group and filter pattern provided. If you are a Linux user, you are likely familiar with the tail command for viewing live logs. CloudWatch live tail feature works similarly, allowing you to monitor logs in real time as your functions are executed. This feature is incredibly helpful for various use cases, including debugging issues, monitoring deployments, command center oversight, identifying performance issues, and more. If you are interested in prior video on the CloudWatch log topics, please refer to the link below. Here is the architecture, what we are trying to accomplish here. We have the Lambda service or EC2 or other service that's publishing the log to the CloudWatch. And from there, we want to start a live tail based on the filter pattern. And in this example, I'm extending it by using the SDK provided by AWS, the Boto3, along with Python. So I have a Python program that has a function get log events, and then it has another function to get the log stream, and the main function that's calling all these functions together. So basically the idea here is that CloudWatch is getting all the log from the services, and based on the filter pattern that we're going to identify in a configuration file, we will start the live tail using the Python Boto3 program. Prerequisite for this is familiarity with Python Boto3 SDK. You need a VS Code or any other IDE of your choice, a basic understanding of how AWS CloudWatch work, and here are links to the prior video workshop which talks about various aspects of AWS logging, monitoring, auditing, and using the log inside the CloudWatch, and also the log aggregation, also the logging and live tail using the AWS console. So let's get started. We'll talk about few points about CloudWatch live tail. We'll review the CloudWatch log group. We'll review the Lambda function description. This is the Lambda function that I'm going to invoke through a GenAI app that I have. And basically it will create the log group and log stream, right? Then I have the Python program, and this is the Python program that we are using to create the live tail. This Python program has a get log event function, and it also has a get log stream function, and then of course it has a main function that invokes everything. So I'll run the Python program to start the live tail. Then I will invoke the Lambda function through my GenAI app, and basically that will create the log streams, and that log stream we will monitor the live tail. Once it's all done and we have demonstrated how to set it up, we'll clean up the log group and the live tail session because we don't want to continue incurring the cloud cost. So here are a few points about CloudWatch live tail. It provides the tail provide option to refine and target specific log data. We can also use highlight to flag event that match your specified term, like up to 5 terms. I'm not using that feature right now. I will use that in the next workshop using the AWS CLI. We'll use a filter to limit the event displayed in the session. So this I will be using in this workshop, and you can select up to 10 log group to include in the live tail session. I'm selecting 1 in this example. Now, one point to note here is that CloudWatch live tail is charged on a per minute basis during the session, making it a flexible on-demand solution for troubleshooting and monitoring. So you use it when you need it, and then after that you kill the session. Let's review the CloudWatch log group that we are using here. So for this CloudWatch log live tail demonstration, I'm using the log group AWS Lambda meeting note summarizer. This log group is getting created when I invoke the Lambda function that I have for my GenAI app, and it's already in place for the existing Lambda function, and log generated by these functions are stored there. So this setup allows us to monitor and analyze the log data produced by this function in real time. Let's look at the Lambda function. So the Lambda function that I'm using is pre-configured with logging capability, and this function supports a generative AI use case and include the guardrail to ensure data security and compliance. So for example, if PII is deducted in the data processed by the function, a guardrail log entry will be generated in the CloudWatch log group to flag the occurrence. This helps maintain data safety by providing insight into sensitive data handling during AI operation. So for my example here, I am using this guardrail entry to as a filter criteria, and when we start the live tail, anytime a guardrail is invoked and it gets logged, we should see that entry in the live tail. Let's look at our Python program. So it's a command line. Python program is for command line utility that monitor the AWS CloudWatch log in real time, which is live tail, with the option to filter the log. Simple breakdown is that its main part, there is a config.json file that I'm using, and this config.json file basically just has two entries. I want to specify the name of the log group that I want to monitor, and there is a filter pattern that I want to use for filtering the log. The program itself has like a read config, the get log event and get log stream functions, which will get invoked collectively to create the live tail. Let's review an example function. So this is an example of like get log event. So I'm passing the log group, I'm passing the log stream, I'm also passing the start time, and then basically I'm returning the events in the response. Now, in order to run this program successfully, you need to ensure that your environment is configured. So basically, first and foremost is that your AWS credentials should be configured. Boto3 library is installed, and then config.json has the name of the log group and filter pattern. So those are the important things to keep in consideration. And when the tail is running, because it's a command line utility, you can stop the program by pressing the Control-C. Here is a quick view to our config.json. Like I said, it has a log group name that I'm using, and then it also has a filter pattern. I'm using a filter pattern guardrail interval because that's what I expect to show up in the log when any PII data show up in my log. Let's run the Python program and start the live session. So when I run the Python program, then I just have this message to show that program actually is running. So it's saying, hey, no new log event found, waiting for the new event. So at this time, it's not finding any new log. So when I invoke the Lambda function, it will create a new entry. And then I expect that because it's a live tail, so it should show up when I invoke the program and a new log entry is getting created in CloudWatch. So let's look at that. So I'm going to invoke this Lambda function. This is Lambda function basically is integrated for this GenAI app that I have. So once I click and I say, hey, invoke this Lambda function to create the summary that I want, and basically it's going to have some PII data. So that's going to trigger the guardrail, which will then create the log, right? So this app itself is using multiple AWS services like API Gateway, the Lambda, the Bedrock, and others. But I'm using it just to trigger the log. So once log is triggered, when I invoke this function via the app, log is getting created. And if I'm monitoring the live tail, now it will show me that, hey, this guardrail intervene is in the log now, right? And then it's again waiting for the next occurrence. So this is really like, the beauty of live tail is that I can monitor it live. That's why it's called live tail. So more occurrence of PII and the intervention will show up here, or really any other filter pattern that I specify in my config.json, right? So again, many different way to do the same thing. I just wanted to show that how you can create your own command line utility using Python and Boto3 and create the same behavior that I showed in the previous video by using the AWS console. So once we're done with it, we can clean up, we can delete the log group, we can end the live tail session so we don't incur the cost. So in this workshop, we successfully demonstrated how to implement a live tail for CloudWatch logs using Python and Boto3. Now, if you have watched the previous workshop on setting up a live tail using the AWS console, you now know an alternative method to achieve the same functionality using Python. In the next workshop, I will explain another approach to setting up a live tail using the AWS CLI. So logging and monitoring are essential component of observability, and mastering different techniques can greatly enhance your skill in this area. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I'm constantly working on new content covering various AWS topics. So please take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the Cloud with Girish channel. Your support helps me continue creating valuable AWS tutorials and workshops. Stay tuned for more exciting content. Thank you.